The Grand Hall of the Galactic Council was the largest structure ever built by intelligent life. It floated in the cold darkness of space, orbiting a dead world that belonged to no one. 12 ancient species had created it together, thousands of years before humans learned to make fire. The walls were made of living crystal that changed color with the mood of those inside. Today, the crystals glowed a soft purple, the color of amusement. Ambassador Park Tae-ho stood alone in the center of the hall. He was a small man, by human standards, with gray hair and calm eyes that had seen too much. Behind him, a hologram showed Earth's symbol, a simple blue circle with a tiny dot. That dot was Earth. That was all of humanity in the eyes of the galaxy. Around him, rising up like a mountain of seats, sat the representatives of the 12 elder species. The Volanthi were the oldest and the strongest. Their bodies were made of living crystal, tall and sharp, and they looked down at humans the way humans might look at ants. The High Speaker of the Volanthi sat at the very top. His name was too complex for human tongues, so they simply called him the High Speaker. "The decision is final," the High Speaker announced. His voice was like glass breaking, sharp and cold. The human colony called New Busan sits on land rich with thessarium ore. This ore belongs to the galaxy, not to your primitive species. The colony will be removed. The ore will be taken. This is the will of the council. Tae-ho did not react. He had expected this. For 3 years, he had warned Earth that this day would come. The Volanthi had been watching human expansion with growing hunger. Humans bred fast, spread fast, and found resources that older species had overlooked. New Busan was the richest find, yet enough thessarium to power a fleet for 1,000 years. "May I speak?" Tae-ho asked. His voice was quiet but steady. The High Speaker made a gesture that meant permission. Several of the other species leaned forward with curiosity. Humans rarely spoke at council meetings. They were too new, too weak, too unimportant. Tae-ho looked around the hall slowly. He met the eyes of every species that dared to look back. Most did not. "I am required to deliver a formal warning from the United Human Government," he said. "This warning is not a threat. It is not anger. It is simply truth. I ask the council to record it." Laughter began somewhere in the upper seats. It spread like ripples in water. The crystals on the walls flickered with new colors, bright yellow and orange. The colors of mockery. "Speak your warning, little human," the High Speaker said. "We will record it for our amusement." Tae-ho nodded. He had expected this too. 200,000 humans live on New Busan, he said. They are farmers, miners, teachers, and children. If you harm them, you will make an enemy of humanity. And I must tell you what that means. He paused. The laughter continued, but some of the representatives had stopped. Something in the human's voice made them uncomfortable. "Humanity does not forget," Tae-ho continued. "We do not forgive unprovoked harm, and we do not stop. Ever. If you destroy New Busan, you will not face a war that ends with treaties. You will face hunters who will follow you across time and space. Your children will grow old looking over their shoulders. Your grandchildren will do the same. We will become your shadow." The laughter died slowly. The High Speaker's crystal body made a sound like cracking ice. "You are 70 billion creatures on a handful of worlds," the High Speaker said. "We command 12 species and trillions of souls. Your little warning is cute." More laughter. Louder now. Some of the species were slapping their tentacles or stamping their feet in amusement. Tae-ho waited for silence. When it came, he spoke his final words. "Then let the record show that I warned you. Humans will hunt you forever. Remember that I said this. Remember that you laughed." He turned and walked toward the exit. The hall erupted in noise, clicking, humming, gurgling sounds of alien joy. They were laughing at him. At humanity. At the very idea that such a young and weak species could threaten anyone. The crystals on the walls turned bright red as he left. 3 days later, the Volanthi Third Fleet entered the New Busan system. Governor Choi Mi-young sent a desperate message to Earth, begging for help. The message was still transmitting when the first plasma bombs fell. The Volanthi did not use ground troops. They did not negotiate. They did not offer the colonists a chance to leave. They simply burned everything. The forests that humans had planted, the cities they had built, the schools, the hospitals, the homes. 200,000 voices went silent in the span of 4 hours. When it was over, the Volanthi commander sent a message to the Galactic Council. The message was simple. The ore has been secured. The human infestation has been cleaned. Or, the Volanthi commander, the ore has been secured. On Earth, Park Tae-ho watched the news in his small apartment in Seoul. His face showed nothing. He had cried already, in private, where no one could see. Now, there was no room left for tears. His communicator buzzed. It was a message from Fleet Admiral Kang Ji-yeon. Ambassador, the message read. The Council is expecting us to attack their fleets. They have prepared for that. They have not prepared for us. Come to headquarters. We have work to do. Tae-ho stood up slowly. He looked out his window at the city lights of Seoul. Somewhere out there, billions of humans were learning what had happened to New Busan. Some were crying. Some were screaming. Some were already signing up for military service. And somewhere, in the cold depths of space, the Volanthi were celebrating their easy victory. They had no idea what was coming. Tae-ho put on his coat and walked out into the night. The hunt was about to begin. The United Human Defense Council met in a bunker deep beneath the old city of Seoul. The room was cold and gray, filled with screens that showed maps of known space. Red dots marked Volanthi territory. There were so many red dots that they almost covered the map. Blue dots marked human space. They were few and small. Fleet Admiral Kang Ji-yeon stood at the head of the table. She was 53 years old, with short black hair and eyes that never seemed to blink. She had fought in 3 colonial wars and won them all. But those wars had been against human enemies. This was different. This was something no human had ever faced. Around her sat the most powerful people in human civilization. Military commanders, intelligence directors, and political leaders. They all looked tired. They all looked angry. And they all looked afraid. The Volanthi expect us to attack, Ji-yeon said. Her voice was flat and calm. They have moved their main fleet to the border. 12,000 warships. We have 400. Director Yoon Sang-woo of Human Intelligence pulled up new images on the main screen. They showed the Volanthi fleet in perfect formation, waiting. They want us to fight, Sang-woo said. They have done this before with other species. A young race gets angry, attacks with everything they have, and gets destroyed in a single battle. The war ends before it begins. The young race surrenders or dies. Then we do not give them that battle, Ji-yeon said. The room went quiet. Everyone looked at her. Ambassador Park Tae-ho spoke from his seat in the corner. He had barely said a word since the meeting began. The Admiral and I have been discussing something. A different kind of war. Ji-yeon nodded and changed the display. Now it showed old images from Earth's history. Soldiers hiding in jungles. Small boats attacking large ships. Cities that refused to fall. Even after years of siege, humans have a long history of fighting enemies who were stronger, Ji-yeon said. We have a word for it. Guerrilla warfare. It means using small forces to slowly destroy a large enemy. Not through big battles, but through fear. General Baek Dong-soo, commander of ground forces, leaned forward. You want us to raid their territory? With what ships? They control the jump gates. We do not need jump gates, Ji-yeon replied. We have been building something in secret. Small ships. Very small. They can carry a team of 6 soldiers and enough supplies for 1 year. They are completely invisible to Volanthi sensors. She showed them images of the ships. They were black, shaped like daggers, and looked more like shadows than machines. We call them ghost ships, she said. We have built 300 of them. Each one can reach deep Volanthi space without being detected. Each team is trained to survive alone, without support, for as long as it takes. The room was silent for a long moment. Then, Defense Minister Huang Subin spoke. What exactly will these teams do? Ji Yan's eyes grew cold. They will haunt the Volanthi. Not attack their fleets. Not bomb their cities. They will do something worse. They will make the Volanthi afraid to sleep. She explained the plan. The ghost teams would strike at soft targets. Water purification systems. Communication relays. Food storage facilities. Nothing that would kill millions. Everything that would make life uncomfortable and terrifying. We will leave messages, Ji Yun said. On walls, on screens. In the personal quarters of their officers. The messages will say the same thing. We remember New Busan. Sang Wu added more details. We have already made contact with other species who hate the Council. The Volanthi have conquered many worlds. Those worlds have not forgotten. They will help us hide, resupply, and gather information. Teho stood up and walked to the map. He pointed at the vast red space of Volanthi territory. The Volanthi have never faced an enemy like us, he said. Every species they conquered gave up when the odds became impossible. They have no experience with an enemy who keeps fighting after losing, who keeps coming after being beaten, who would rather die than stop. He turned to face the room. We are going to teach them something new. We are going to teach them that humans do not surrender. We do not accept defeat. We continue until we win or until there is nothing left of us. And even then, our children will continue. Admiral Ji Yun pulled up one final image. It was a photograph of New Busan before the attack. Green fields, white buildings, children playing in a park, 200,000 people, she said. Farmers, teachers, babies. The Volanthi killed them because they wanted ore. They did not think about consequences. They did not think about revenge. They thought humans would cry, file a complaint with the Council, and eventually accept what happened. Her voice grew hard. They were wrong. We will not cry. We will not complain. We will simply begin hunting. And we will never stop. Not until the Volanthi understand that attacking humanity was the worst mistake in their history. The vote was unanimous. Operation Endless Hunt was approved. Over the next 6 months, 300 ghost ships launched from hidden bases across human space. Each ship carried 6 soldiers who had volunteered knowing they might never return home. Each soldier had memorized the names of the New Busan dead. Commander Han Wujin led the first wave. Before his ship vanished into the darkness between stars, he sent one final message to Admiral Ji Yun. We will make them remember, the message said. The Volanthi were still celebrating their victory. They had no idea that ghosts were already moving through their space, silent and patient, waiting for the right moment to strike. The silence before the storm had begun. 18 months had passed since the fall of New Busan. The Volanthi Empire was at peace. Their enemies were silent. Their fleets patrolled the borders without finding any threat. The High Speaker told his people that the human problem was solved. He said, the young species had learned its place. Then the station went dark. Outpost 7 was a small supply station at the edge of Volanthi space. It held 50 crew members and enough food to supply a patrol fleet for 3 months. One day, it simply stopped sending signals. When the rescue team arrived, they found the station intact. The lights were on. The air was clean. The food was untouched. But the crew was wrong. All 50 Volanthi were alive. They were sitting in a circle in the main hall, holding hands. Their crystal bodies had turned gray, the color of terror. When the rescue team tried to speak to them, they all said the same thing. They came from the walls. They came from the walls. They came from the walls. No one could explain what had happened. The security recordings showed nothing unusual. The Volanthi crew had been working normally, and then suddenly, they were in the circle, holding hands, repeating those words. The time between normal and broken was exactly 4 seconds. Commander Han Wujin watched the report from his ghost ship, hiding in an asteroid field 100 light-years away. He smiled. 4 seconds was not an accident. 4 seconds was the time it took for a human team to enter a room, inject 50 aliens with a fear toxin, rearrange them in a circle, and disappear again. The message had been left on the main screen of the station. 3 words in perfect Volanthi script. We remember Busan. This was only the beginning. Over the next 6 months, strange things began happening across Volanthi space. A cargo ship carrying rare minerals vanished without a trace. Then another. Then 6 more in a single week. The ships were never found. The crews were never found. But small pieces of debris would appear in busy trade routes, each piece carved with the same message. Pilot Cha Da-hye led a squadron of ghost ships called the Unforgiven. She was 29 years old and had lost her entire family on New Busan. Her parents, her 2 brothers, her grandmother all gone in the plasma fire. She never spoke about them. She did not need to. Everyone who flew with her knew why she never hesitated. Da-hye and her squadron attacked 17 targets in 12 systems. They destroyed no enemy ships. They killed no enemy soldiers. Instead, they did something worse. They made the enemy feel hunted. One night, the commanding officer of a Volanthi battlecruiser woke up to find a message written on the wall above his bed. The message was in his own language. "We are watching you." He screamed so loudly that guards came running from 3 decks away. They searched the entire ship. They found nothing except the message, which could not be removed. The ink had somehow bonded with the crystal wall. The officer requested a transfer the next morning. So did 40 other officers on the same ship. None of them could explain why. But they all said the same thing. The ship felt wrong now. It felt watched. Da-hye heard about the transfer requests through her spy network. She added the officer's name to her list. Someday, when the war was over, she would find him. She would look him in the eyes, and she would ask him if he had enjoyed sleeping well for so many years while the children of New Busan never woke up again. The fear spread faster than any weapon could. Volanthi soldiers began refusing assignments in outer territories. Captains started keeping lights on at all hours because darkness felt dangerous. The High Speaker ordered more patrols, more guards, more security systems. None of it helped. The humans were ghosts. They could not be seen, could not be tracked, could not be stopped. Commander Wujin kept a record of every operation. Not for military purposes, the records were too dangerous to keep officially. He wrote them in a small notebook that he carried at all times. Each entry was short. Mission 47. Poisoned water supply at military base. Not deadly. Just enough to cause sickness for weeks. Message left in medical bay. AMS. Quote, Mission 62. Corrupted navigation computer on patrol ship. Ship jumped to wrong coordinates. Took 3 weeks to return home. Crew found message in food storage. Nowhere is safe. Mission 89. Replaced family photographs in officers' quarters with images of New Busan burning. Officer retired the next day. The missions continued. Week after week. Month after month. The Volanthi began calling them the Quiet Ones. Other species had different names. Some called them the Forever Hunters. Some called them the Shadow People. But everyone was starting to understand the same truth. Humans did not fight like other species. They did not want victory. They wanted suffering. Ambassador Taeho watched the reports from Earth. He was too old for the ghost ships. But he had his own mission. He traveled secretly between systems. Meeting with representatives of conquered species, he asked them simple questions. Are you tired of the Council? Do you want freedom? Are you willing to help? Most said yes. By the end of the second year, humanity had spy networks in every major Volanthi city. They had friends on 100 conquered worlds. They had weapons, hidden in places the Volanthi would never think to look. The High Speaker still did not understand what was happening. He thought the attacks were random. He thought the humans were desperate and would soon give up. He was wrong. The humans were not desperate. They were patient. They were building something that would last for generations. They were creating a legend. And legends, once created, never die. 4 years had passed since the death of New Busan. The Grand Hall of the Galactic Council looked very different now. Half of the seats were empty. The Methane Collective had left the council 6 months ago. They claimed it was for internal reasons. Everyone knew the truth. They were afraid. They did not want to be connected to the Volanthi when the humans finally came for blood. The Sandwalkers had also left. So had the Deep Swimmers. 3 more species had quietly begun secret talks with Earth. They sent no ambassadors to council meetings anymore. They sent only low-ranking officials who had no power to make decisions. The High Speaker sat alone at the top of the hall. His crystal body was damaged, now covered with dark stress fractures that would not heal. For 4 years, he had barely slept. Every night, he woke up expecting to find human words carved into his bedroom walls. Every morning, he checked the security reports for new attacks. There was always something. Always. The remaining council members gathered for an emergency session. The topic was simple. What to do about the human problem? This is madness, the High Speaker said. His voice cracked like old glass. They have destroyed nothing of real value. They have won no battles. They have taken no territory. Why does the galaxy fear them? Lev. No one answered at first. Then the representative of the Iron Builders, a species of metal-skinned engineers, spoke up. They have done something worse than winning battles. They have made your people afraid. Fear is more dangerous than any weapon. Fear makes soldiers freeze. Fear makes officers make bad decisions. Fear makes empires fall from the inside. The High Speaker slammed his crystalline hand on his chair. Cracks spread across his palm. We are the oldest civilization in the galaxy. We have conquered 100 species. We do not fear primitives who learned space travel only 300 years ago. And yet, the Iron Builder said quietly, your colonies are requesting more guards. Your trade routes are empty because captains refuse to fly. Your best officers are retiring. Your people whisper about the shadow humans in their homes. Is this not fear? Before the High Speaker could respond, the main screen flickered. An image appeared. A young human woman with sharp eyes and short black hair. She wore the formal clothes of a diplomat, but there was something dangerous in her smile. Good morning, Council, she said. My name is Seo Hana. I am the attaché to Ambassador Park Tae-ho. He sends his regards. The hall erupted in chaos. Security officers ran toward the transmission equipment, trying to trace the signal. They found nothing. The human woman continued speaking, as if nothing was happening. You did not invite us to this meeting. That is fine. We invited ourselves. We have been listening to your conversations for 2 years now. Your security is not as good as you think. The High Speaker stood up. How dare you? I dare because you murdered 200,000 of my people, Hana said. Her voice was still calm, but there was ice beneath the words. I dare because you laughed when Ambassador Tae-ho warned you. I dare because you thought humans were weak, and now you are learning the truth. She leaned forward. The screen showed her face in perfect detail. She looked like she had not slept in days, but her eyes burned with an energy that made the council members uncomfortable. You asked why your people fear us. Let me explain. For thousands of years, you taught the galaxy that power equals safety. Big fleets mean victory. Large populations mean survival. You made everyone believe that the strong cannot be touched by the weak. She smiled again. It was not a friendly smile. Humanity taught them something different. We taught them that if you hurt us, you will never know peace again. Not your children, not your grandchildren. We will be there, in the shadows, in the silence, in the quiet moment before you fall asleep. We will never stop. We will never forget. We will never forgive. A council member from the light speakers, beings made of pure energy, spoke with a trembling voice. What do you want? To end this? Tell us what you want, and we will negotiate. Hana laughed. It was a cold sound. That is the question, is it not? What do humans want? 4 years ago, we wanted peace. We wanted to trade and grow and live beside you as equals. You refused. You burned our colony and laughed. Her smile faded. Now we want something else. We want you to remember. We want every species in this galaxy to remember what happens when you attack humanity. We want the lesson to last forever, so that the next time someone thinks about harming us, they will hesitate. They will remember the Valanthi. They will remember how the oldest and strongest empire in the galaxy was brought to its knees by a species they called primitive. The high speaker's voice was barely a whisper. You cannot defeat us. You are too few. We do not need to defeat you, Hana replied. We already have. Look around your hall. Half the council is gone. Your allies are abandoning you. Your economy is collapsing under the cost of security. Your people are afraid to leave their homes. You have already lost. You just have not admitted it yet. The screen flickered again. Hana's image was replaced by a map of Valanthi space. Red dots appeared across the map, hundreds of them. These are the locations of human operatives in your territory right now, Hana said. We are everywhere. We have always been everywhere. And we will remain everywhere. Until this ends. On our terms. The screen went dark. The council sat in silence for a long time. The crystals on the walls had turned gray, the color of despair. Finally, the representative of the Iron Builders stood up and walked toward the exit. Where are you going? The high speaker demanded. The Iron Builder did not look back. To contact Earth. To begin negotiations. I suggest you do the same. Before there is nothing left to negotiate for. He left. 2 more representatives followed him. The council was breaking apart. And somewhere in the darkness of space, the humans were watching. 7 years after the burning of New Busan, the Valanthi homeworld saw human ships in its sky for the first time. There were only 12 of them. The Valanthi defense fleet numbered over 2,000 warships. They had been waiting for years, preparing for the massive human armada that intelligence reports said was coming. They had built new weapons. They had trained new soldiers. They had turned their homeworld into a fortress. And then 12 small ships appeared at the edge of the system, broadcasting a simple message. This is Fleet Admiral Kang Ji-yun of the United Human Navy. I am here to talk, not to fight. Please, do not shoot. The Valanthi commanders did not know what to do. This was not what they had prepared for. Where was the invasion fleet? Where were the bombers and the troop transports? 12 ships could not conquer a planet. 12 ships could not even scratch the defense fleet. The high speaker ordered them to wait. He was afraid of a trap. He was right to be afraid. Humans always had traps. But this time, there was no trap. Just 12 ships and 1 admiral who had spent 7 years waiting for this moment. Ji-yun's shuttle landed in the main square of the capital city. She walked out alone, wearing her formal uniform, with no weapons and no guards. Thousands of Valanthi watched her from behind security barriers. Many of them had never seen a human in person. They were surprised by how small she was, how calm she looked, how she walked like she owned the ground beneath her feet. The high speaker met her at the steps of the government building. He looked old now. His crystal body was more cracks than solid surface. 7 years of fear had broken him in ways that war never could. You could have brought your fleet, he said. You could have tried to burn our cities as we burned yours. Ji-yeon looked up at him. Even standing on higher ground, he seemed smaller than she remembered. We could have, she agreed. We chose not to. Why? Ji-yeon smiled. It was not a cruel smile. It was worse. It was the smile of someone who had already won, and knew it. Because a battle ends, she said. Burning your cities would have given your people something to fight against, something to rebuild from, something to hate. Instead, we gave you 7 years of shadows. 7 years of wondering when the next attack would come. 7 years of watching your empire crumble, from fear alone. She stepped closer to him. Her voice dropped. Every species in this galaxy watched what we did to you. They watched the mighty Valanthi become afraid of their own shadows. They watched your colonies declare independence because you could not protect them. They watched your council fall apart because no one wanted to stand beside you. We did not need to destroy you. We just needed to show the universe that you could be destroyed. The High Speaker's voice was thin and tired. What do you want? Ji-yeon handed him a data chip. Full reparations for New Busan. Recognition of all human territory. Release of every species your empire has conquered. A permanent human observer on whatever council replaces this broken one. And if I refuse? Ji-yeon shrugged. Then we continue. Another 7 years. Another 7 after that. Another 100 years if necessary. We have already proven that we can reach you anywhere. And we can sink the Dong. We have friends on every conquered world, in every trade guild, in every shadow of your empire. You can refuse today. But tomorrow, another officer will wake up with a message carved above his bed. Another ship will vanish. Another colony will declare independence. The hunt never ends. Until you end it. The High Speaker was silent for a long moment. Then he asked the question that had haunted him for 7 years. Why? Why this way? Why not just fight us like any other species would? Ji-yeon thought about her answer. She thought about Commander Woo Jin, who had spent 6 years living in darkness between the stars. She thought about Pilot Da-hye, who had finally visited her family's memorial last month and cried for the first time since the war began. She thought about Ambassador Tae-ho, now old and gray, who had spent every day of the war building the network of allies that made this moment possible. Because we wanted you to understand, she said finally. Not just fear us. Understand. When you harm humanity, you do not start a war that ends with treaties and handshakes. You start something that lasts forever. Your great-grandchildren will tell stories about what we did to your empire. 1,000 years from now, species will think twice before attacking humans, because they will remember what happened to the Valanthi. She pointed at the sky. That is our victory. Not your cities, or your ore. Your memory. The memory of the entire galaxy. From this day forward, everyone will know. Humans do not give up. Humans do not accept defeat. Humans hunt, and we hunt, forever. The High Speaker looked at the data chip in his hand. Then he looked at the small human woman, who had just spoken the death sentence of his empire's reputation. We will sign, he said quietly. We will give you everything you want. I know, Ji-yeon said. You had no other choice. You never did. 1 year later, Ambassador Park Tae-ho returned to New Busan. The colony had been rebuilt. New buildings stood where old ones had burned. New fields grew where the plasma bombs had fallen. A memorial wall stretched for a kilometer, covered with 200,000 names. Tae-ho walked slowly along the wall. He was 81 years old now. His hands shook. His eyes were tired. But he touched each name as he passed, saying a silent goodbye. A young officer named Kim Ye-rin found him there. She was shipping out tomorrow on a deep space patrol, the first routine patrol in 7 years that did not expect combat. Ambassador, she asked quietly, was it worth it? Everything we did? Tae-ho turned to look at her. Behind him, the sun was setting over the new city of remembrance. "Ask me again in 100 years," he said. "Ask me when another empire thinks about attacking us." And stops. When they remember what happened here, and choose peace instead. When our children grow up safe, because the galaxy learned to respect us. He looked back at the wall of names. Then yes. It was worth everything. The sun set. The names on the wall glowed in the fading light. And across the galaxy, in every language and every system, a new word for human spread like fire. The word meant, those who never stop. The war was over. The legend had just begun.